when the planets align and everything goes right, the music gets you there, you know. Yeah, it's like you're in a fight with an invisible enemy, and when everything goes right, you're winning, you know. You're fucking tearing the place apart, like, you know, you push everything aside. You become stronger than you've ever been. You really, it's crazy. It's a feeling that is comparable in my eyes. It makes, it makes you feel strong, and it makes you feel like you're conquering everything that is holding you down, and that is casting a shadow on your life, or that is making it hard on someone you love, or you attack those things, and everything goes right. And in the biggest moments of an AMENRA concert, you're definitely beating those things out of the way of yourself and your loved ones and everybody who needs it. So that makes it a very magical, unexplainable experience.
Well, I think for a lot of people, AMENRA is something to hold on to. It's so emotional, and I think the band reaches deep down inside themselves to bring the music across in a sincere way, and the audience feels that, and it's for them it's some sort of catharsis to be part of that, and to just be immersed in that feeling, where all the pain makes sense, and it gives you enough strength to go on despite all the pain. You just go on, and you just move forward, and you can deal with anything.
At some point my brother got himself an electric guitar, and to me, like that, like striking a power chord with distortion, like that was like the most magical thing I've ever experienced. Like, and still, like the satisfying feeling of doing that, like on an amp that's like fully full volume. It's like I don't know, maybe a visceral thing as well. You feel it and throughout your body, and yeah, that's an important part of it to me. And in AMENRA we play in B, so when we hit that B, you really feel it, and that's definitely what makes part of playing AMENRA so fun for me.
I think their performances, they take so much energy, not from themselves, but from everybody in the room. And they try to like give a space to negativity, positivity, love, hate, all of it. They combine it like to this sphere that is constantly during the whole set is growing and growing and growing and growing up until the last moment in the catharsis it bangs open and then it stops, like they just unplug it. And it feels like you just lost everything you needed to lose just in like one hour.
AMENRA has a really big impact on people's mindset. We heard a lot of stories about AMENRA helping people to get over their loss or like helping them do better or changing their lives or stuff like that. And I think for us it's still a mystery about how this happens or how those people feel. Because we're too close to like the musical and technical aspects of everything, so we don't like experience what people that come to the shows experience. I get it. I can definitely like imagine that it would have a huge impact on some people's lives.
It's important to maintain friendship as the main drive instead of the band's sake. I think it's emphasis on the friendship in the whole thing. Like during our 20 years, a lot of stuff happened where everybody was allowed to have his space instead of pushing each other back and carrying on without them. Because we have learned that what in the early days we would call each other's flaws appeared to be the strength of the band. We've realized that we all have a very important part in it. It's not a band that is driven by one genius musician and the rest has to follow. It's really a combination of everything and everyone's weight that they put on the scale.
AMENRA, it's been 20 years now. It's already a really nice and strong experience. It started when we youngsters. I played from I guess 16 years old with Matthew, and yeah, skating, and Wednesday afternoon skating and practice together. Then it's just begun everything. then we know we want to make music and see what happens. The only thing what important was that we are together. It's not a lifestyle as well. It's something deeper. We try to do our own thing, and in the end, it started with we want to make music that's more than. We want to bring more than music only. We want to be different than the other ones. We want to give people hope.
So in the early days, 3 of us were playing in a hardcore band together, and we wanted to play a different type of music than we were back then. We wanted it to be more reflective and emotionally driven. The idea was already there of making music with content that was specifically very human and emotion driven. And we also wanted it to not only be a music band or like an entertainment vehicle. And from there on, we started thinking on how we could reach that. You know, we didn't know how to. We didn't know how it was going to look like, but we knew something abstract, like what we wanted to do with it.
When I first went skateboarding with Colin and Mandy and my brother, for me it was like, yeah, I'm with the older guys, very happy to go with them. So I started playing guitar, and then there was like Colin played in a band with Mandy that was called Spineless, and Koen, the guitar player, stopped playing guitar. So they were looking for a guitar player, and so I was like, hello, I'm here. I think I was like 17, maybe almost 18. So I did some rehearsals and it was okay. And then we recorded an album, but some of the guys, they would like to play more the hardcore stuff, and we want to play more the melodic, emotional music. So that was Colin, Mandy and me. So we started thinking about it, what we could do, and I already played in a band with Bjorn because he was at my school. So Colin was like, yeah, maybe we can try something with Bjorn, and then everything started.
the first shows were, we've always been welcome in the squats in Ghent and in the area in Belgium. So those were the first stages that we were allowed to do what we did. And then we also had the hardcore scene, which we grew from, but we didn't really fit in there that well. People thought we were kind of weird, and they didn't really get what we were doing. But it was a lot of trial and error, you know. It took us a few experiences and years to get into first gear, to be able to become AMENRA almost, yeah.
Everything grew from hanging out and being in the same city, in the same tattoo shops, doing the same things, having the same interest, and it all grew like mutually together. We always had a great vibe when we were together, when we saw each other. It was always laughing and dancing and doing stupid skateboarding stuff, young people stuff that yeah, I felt I like. And even when I came into the shop where the guys worked before, it was always a small hangout. Even if they say it's the guy from Bruges that came in with the records he just bought, and I played the records in the store or something like that, or I bought the sneakers in the store and he gave me the wrong fucking size, so I had to come back for another size. These type of things that never change.
I did, during my college days in Kortrijk, I did a workshop with Tin and Guns, who made a lot of the AMENRA artwork, video clips, visuals. And I did a workshop on live, like experimenting with live visual projections and everything. And that's where I met her, and I met Mathieu. Afterwards we started talking a bit, it felt right, like we had a really good connection. Also I lived in Ghent back then. You see them, everybody knows everybody, so when I go to the Limits clothing shop or something, I saw Colin, and yeah, it's like we already knew each other before we actually knew each other.
A lot of us living in Kortrijk and Ghent area meant that we were really close to each other, and we could hook up very, very easily. And just by running into each other in the streets and having a coffee and talk about some things, like you'd ask what you're up to or what you're busy with around that time, and then a new idea was born again, you know, and the week afterwards you were driving to the other side of the country, filming, editing. You'd have ideas for visuals or layouts or whatever, you know. or you'd rehearse, you'd just stop by someone's house and you'd listen what they're making around that time, and you just ping pong some ideas and so forth, and then you'd inspire each other and go home enthused by new energy, and you'd start working again. So that's how a lot of things got born, is that proximity that made it all so easy, you know, and very human, very friendship-based, you know, like you just hang out because you like each other, and then something grows from that. Yeah, there was passion, there was energy, there was young energy, a common goal, you know, create something beautiful or something worth your time and effort.
I've known Colin, Matthew and Bjorn since I was like about 15 from skateboarding, and we all played in hardcore bands that used to like play together often. So and also my brother recorded like the first demo tape of Colin's band. And that was kind of like how we got to know each other. Then like later I ended up in Colin's high school as well, and we got to know each other a bit further. And I guess, yeah, we used to like see each other pretty frequently from that point on. And even though like there were some years that we didn't really see each other, there was like kind of a strong connection, like all being from Cochran and having spent a lot of time together, that connection stayed there.
We came out from hardcore. We play every weekend. We did hardcore shows. The ex-band of Colin, Spineless. Everybody knows us in our area where we lived. And then at this moment we bring something else. There are a lot of people, they don't know, they don't like it for the most, because it was too different, it was too slow. And on the other time, it was no hardcore enough, and for going to metal, it was not metal. We didn't find a place, but we still had our heads on the same thing. We just say we have to do that. We have to do our own thing, and if it's okay or not, let's do just what we want to do.
In the early days of AMENRA, we came from a hardcore scene that had either a sort of metalcore style or you had the old emo and screamo. And that was like a mixture that we created with the bands before that. But the ones who went on creating AMENRA, we wanted emotion to be a very important aspect of the band. So, and that's where we definitely had felt a link with bands like Neurosis, who had the sheer force and the magnitude of their attack in their music was incredible. And then you had early Converge, bands like Tool or early ISIS or Bolt Thrower, Crowbar. That was bands that it was very important to have a sense of emotion and a sense of human character to the whole creation of the music. It took a while for us to find our ways and to make it our own and to learn to play our style of music. And it took a while, but you know, after a few years, I think we had the balls to do what we really wanted, and slowly but surely we became what we are today.
I think the first time I saw AMENRA was at Hyperfest, probably. I was about 16, 17, and just getting into hardcore, punk, stuff like that. It was just something I had never seen before. I don't think I listened to them before I saw the live show. I think that was my first encounter. But I was listening to stuff like Rise and Fall and like very fast-paced stuff with more like political messages, and you know, while AMENRA had a very different angle. So yeah, I became a pretty big fan after that, which is almost weird to say now. think the first time I really remember them was like this festival that we organized, like a really tiny festival in a farm. I was doing visuals for every band there, and I remember that one moment that I was playing like pieces of a movie which was really like aggressive. It was too much, you know, like for that kind of music. And Colin was also seeing what was happening, you know, like visually. I think at that moment he said like, this is not gonna happen again, you know, like I wanna have like the right view.
My first experience when I saw them was like, what just happened? And I know the days after I was still thinking about it, like, what the hell did I just see? Because I didn't know them at all. I just saw them somewhere on a festival. And I was like, what the hell is this? I didn't understand it at all. Like, not at all.
First show I saw, I'm not sure, but I think it was, they played Hyperfest and they were going to play in the afternoon and I couldn't be there because I had to work. But then I arrived there and I found out that we were going to play in a forest. I just I had my camera with me and then I went to the show and it was amazing to just experience it in that setting, the band with all the people around, and yeah, it made a very big impact on me. So I started following the band more because yeah, the music spoke to me.
So, like, Hyperfest was this like semi-iconic DIY hardcore fest in the 90s. We were scheduled, yeah, like 2 p.m. blaring sun on like a stage that somewhere resembled a circus, like outdoor show. So like totally not where I saw the band playing. Didn't make sense to me, but you know, it was what it was. We weren't a big band, so we had to take the opportunity with both hands, which we did. So we started playing one song in the set, Electricity Blows on the festival, No More Electricity. My immediate reaction was like, just back in your gear, you know, don't even wait it out, you know, we'll blame the infrastructure. Back up your gear, we're out of here. But then our bass player and me had the idea like, fuck this, you know, we're gonna play this show here on our terms. So we were like, okay, you guys go and look for a generator. We're gonna go home, make a flyer, go to the copy center. And we just made a flyer and said, you know, after the headlining band at the camping site. So that's what we did, you know, we waited, we looked for a spot on the fly up, and there was like this little foresty bush thing next to the camping ground. where we just set up our gear and we set up the generator. And we started playing, you know, and first there were, 10 of our friends were there, and then suddenly, the whole camping site just came over to the thing, and everybody was around us in a big circle. We had our lights on the floor, and people were in trees around us. So it was really nice. It was like this like a hole of light with all people around it, and we just did the thing on our terms. And that's where I realized, like, from now on, we don't compromise anymore. We choose where we play, and we can play everywhere we want.
My first ever experience with AMENRA was at Buckle Pub, I think, at like one of the smallest stands they have. But I was really intrigued. I still remember the show. It was really heavy. It wasn't something you would expect to see on Buckle Pub. Not at that time, not at the age I was. And then the next time I saw AMENRA was like the most devastating life experience of my life. That was the Cochran show.
The Cochran show in Stadschouwburg was something that we all worked very hard on, and there was a group of friends doing things together, and not just the band. It was like different people. It was like we all knew each other, and we were all just stoked to be working on something and creating something, and we all outperformed ourselves and did better than any of us thought was possible.
The show we did in the Schouwburg of Kortrijk, at that time that was like the biggest thing we had done so far, like the most challenging thing, with dancers and other stuff going on. And I guess that those kind of things like have made us grow in confidence a lot, like seeing, okay, we can pull this off.
Since the beginning of AMENRA, we knew that we wanted to be more than just a music band. So there was always an aim to mix other art forms within what we were doing musically. So that was the first time that we actually had theater or dance involved with and performance art involved in the AMENRA live show, where we actually had different movements in the performance, where it started off as the birth of the woman, that evolved into the woman finding a good partner in life. Then there was the pregnancy that had two very abstract figures banging their heads in ritual into the pregnant belly of the woman that symbolized the miscarriages and stuff. And it ended with the ultimate sacrifice of going upwards in ascension with the crucifixion suspension. As we do the rituals sometimes in live shows, you have a big visual, audible avalanche of emotion coming at you, and then suddenly you strip it down to one person, and you see that one person take pain and overcome that pain it becomes part of everybody, and psychologically it does something to you. You realize that you can overcome a pain that you would think you cannot, and it helps you out mentally as well to overcome that moment in your life. In a way, it gives you strength, and that is where you draw an energy from to carry on, I think.
I think for most people it's a healing process. A lot of people can connect to it in not only the music, but also like the way everything is connected to each other. Maybe the spiritual stuff combined with the music, the way the performance is going. It's more like a healing process or something for a lot of people, or like a way to cope with life.
As it is truthful and real, people recognize that. And in a way, you become that pain of that person. You become their scream of despair. You know, I have the luck and I have the opportunity to scream it off. You know, scream it away, push it away, fight it off on stage. And I believe a lot of people have that feeling in them, but do not have the opportunity to get rid of that sheer, instinctive scream of despair.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the whole package. It's not just the music. For sure the music, it's definitely how Colin takes his approach on his vocals, his lyrics. Yeah, I think it's all of that. And next to that, it's definitely the artwork. And that is it started with the Church of Ra. And you saw that people just needed that. It connects. It's like a puzzle, and every piece fits. And the range of what it brings is so wide that everyone feels it, feels the connection, and then that makes it so special. Yeah, it works. It's right. The message is right there. They're all bringing it, and in their own way, but it fits, you know. And that's a very special thing. That's something I haven't seen before, I guess.
It was not only the five of us, the musicians, alone anymore. So we realized that we needed another name for the group of creative people creating for AMENRA. So we baptized it the Church of Ra. And the first thing we did was the Church of Ra DVD that had 3 bands in there. There was AMENRA, Kingdom, and Syndrome. And that's where it was the first time that we actually had a big group of people contributing to one project and uplifting everything for everyone. So that's where we built our own little world in the basement of the monastery. And we locked ourselves in there for a couple of days, and we went at it until we thought it was perfect.
At that time we were still in school, actually. That's very important because the school is an old monastery, and we spent some time in this basement and thought, what do we need? How can we combine everything? And we just decided on this giant table of food that brought everything together with all these references to the different bands that were on the DVD, and about the symbolism that AMENRA used, and references to previous artwork, and just everybody at that time that could contribute got involved. I think it was like the first moment that we know, like, everybody works together, or everybody does his own thing, and we're all connected, so let's make something together.
That's when we started to really think through the artwork and started to use installations, make them ourselves. It was man-made and it was touchable. You could see it, you could, touch it, you could worship it in real life. And that was a beautiful era for us. We did a lot of really great stuff.
I remember Colin and I talked a lot about artwork. I remember us referring to icons. An icon, it's a big word, but that's how we saw it, and I'm sure that's how Colin still looks at certain stuff. But that's a big word for a band, and yet we are using it here. So when it comes down to aesthetics, I really see what they do as on a totally different level than a lot of other bands. And to me, they're more working towards iconography than towards like band merch, Church of Ra is a collective of people trying to make sense of this world and of this life and of their inner feelings and finding strength in those moments of doubt and maybe weakness and create something higher than themselves that speaks of hope.
Yeah, I think there is some kind of line that stay constant. I would say like the aesthetic of the body, of the pain of the body, and mostly like, let's say, a spiritual dimension that comes to the artwork, the music, something more that can relate to a place to be safe, let's say, more than religious, only straight symbol. I just say like the line looks like the truth out of what you have inside. Like aesthetically, it's like something that needs to get out, and you can feel it in the artwork, in the general aesthetics. It's something that needs to be get rid of.
One very important piece I remember was the tripod. We got like Bram Klusehellion did like this paw. Was it a raven? I don't know. But I remember thinking like it needs something. I remember me and Colin were thinking like this is almost a cult. We are on the break of something over here. So we need an icon. We need something. And that was the tripod. I remember taking it in, and that was the first time I was like, oh fuck, shit, I got something here. So I sent it to Colin, and we were all like, yeah, this is it, man.
Bunker that is on the photo of the Mass 5 album. We were actually sitting on a bunker from 3 in the morning until 7 because we couldn't go off it because it was high tide and we were surrounded by the sea. So Colin and I had like these small beach chairs set up on a bunker, and we're like, okay, now we have to wait. We had actually pretty good conversation that night, and it was something unique. It was something you actually do once in your life and then think about it for the rest of your life.
The being on the road pictures and just the life as a band on the road always brings back the memories of what we were doing back then. And the first time I went on the road with them again after having quit, there's some pictures there that I took backstage, and I remember making photos while they were playing, and it was actually really hard because it was the first time in a long time that I heard them. Making those photos and my photography just to help me through that phase, and I wasn't on stage with them, but I could do my thing as a photographer and document what was going on and document what was going on backstage.
Well, AMENRA shaped me actually in a lot of ways. The fact that I like to make raw images sometimes, a lot of noise on the photos, or that it's not always sharp. Also the black and white part, of course. I mean, it's timeless, it's limitless. That's the way I see life. It's not always happy, it's not always colorful. That's probably why I understood AMENRA so well.
I've always been a fan of taking something that exists, add some small changes, but because of those changes, people start to think it over and ask themselves, like, what is this? It connects, it's like a puzzle and every piece fits. And the range of what it brings is so wide that everyone feels it. Feels the connection, and then that makes it so special.
There is a long term and a vision, you know. There is an idea at the core of everything that we do, but it remains abstract. We don't want to like name it. So definitely it aimed to have a certain spiritual or religious character. We wanted to redefine the symbols that everybody already knew and give them back their worth and power. You know, they have the ability to mean something to someone, and it is something to hold on to, maybe. You know, like they can carry it on them, they can take it with them, some tattoo it on their bodies, you know, some cut it in there, but it means a lot to not only us, apparently. So, and that is definitely something people are looking for these days and are missing.
I remember when we organized the first shows in chapels and stuff, I remember when you come into that place, you already feel something out of the ordinary, out of the context of a concert venue. You don't have the bar, you don't have the ads, you don't have the security, you don't have the tickets. You are part of something real. It feels more like you're part of a happening, something special, than a Friday night out with friends, you know. So we didn't care about selling drinks or whatever. We cared about the experience. We cared about the total package, and that's why we always liked playing in a church or in a forest or wherever. Our preference is definitely like not in conventional things, because you have that space, that building, that thing already doing half of the work for you, you know.
Well, choosing those alternative venues is important because it ties in with the aesthetic of AMENRA and the overall story they're trying to tell. It's more than the music. It's about finding places that have the same aesthetic as the artwork. Like in the early days, it was it was the churches or playing in the woods. You know, playing in the woods is again the organic nature of the art that you find. Playing in the churches is a reappropriation of a certain iconographies, and then we played in some caves in Germany once. In the caves, it's like coming closer to the primitive nature of man. All of that ties in with the aesthetic, it ties in with the music, it ties in with the artwork. It's just one story.
Balancing between family and music is hard, but it has grown on us. I mean, the band made us who we are today and pretty much determines everything we do these days, you know. We think our families are most important, and as our friendship, that will always be the most important thing within our circle, just to keep it honest and human, you know. There's a lot of heart in what we do, and our children and the things that happen to people we love definitely inspire us a lot, you know, determine a lot of our writing. But it's hard, and we owe a lot to our families, allowing us to put so much time and effort in our creating. But it's what we have to do, you know. I think it's the thing that we were determined to do while life lasts.
For me, AMENRA, or like playing shows with AMENRA, it's also a lot of time you go away from your family, and it's like family is very important as well. Like with my kid, when I call my parents, hey, Mom, I have to play a show, it's okay. That will come for a week. So she's like always open for that, so that's also very important. Even my girlfriend, she is always ready to take care of my kid and her kids. So without that, it's very difficult, I think.
And then I started very young with my first son, Stan. I was 24 years old. The other guys, they don't know how much it took for me. It was maybe the happiest time of my life when he was born. But the rest, they didn't understand that I couldn't spend that more time in AMENRA at this moment. Then I have a second kid, and then later I divorced, and I met a new girl, and I started with a third kid. I was struggling with myself then. I say I can't arrange all that thing. I have to work because I have to feed them. I have to raise them. Then you need money. So my time in AMENRA was less than all the other guys. After a while, the questions came from what can we do that you not stop with AMENRA? So we are just one together. We are friends since we teenagers. Then I asked, maybe we have to do it a little bit slower for 1 or 2 years, and then I had time for be more in the family. And they accept that. They say, okay, we do some less shows for the time, and we can make other music. Yeah, I'm thankful that they understand that. That's the reason why I'm still sitting here, and I'm thankful all my life.
Balancing AMENRA and like the rest of my life hasn't always been very easy, because there's even 2 instances where I thought about quitting the band because I used to have a pretty demanding job, and then my other band, Oathbreaker, and my girlfriend, and I just couldn't like juggle all the things anymore. And I will be like forever grateful, because when I told the other guys, they could have said, okay, we'll look for someone else, but they just let me have some time off, did other stuff they could do without me at that time, and like gave me the time to get my head in order and continue again. And like when I look back at that now, and in general, when I look back, I think like now it's been 10 years since I've played in the band, and to be honest, in those 10 years, the only constant that I've had in my life is AMENRA, basically.
This band, more than any other band, they're more like brothers, I think. It's more like family. So it's how you discuss, like we have discussions like you discuss with your brother, you know, like with a brother, you just like, you go all the way, you know, like you just say what you have to say. It's kind of right there. It's sometimes emotional, which I don't have with any other band. So for me, like the whole band and how we tour and what we do, it's kind of a way to deal with yourself too. You know, like there's a lot of mirrors.
It's not a brotherhood, it's family. And sometimes you want to hit each other, throw each other outside the bus, or like get the fuck away from me, and other days you can't live without them. And if I come home, I really miss the guys the first day, because I come home alone. I'm maybe the only guy that's alone in Ghent. My girlfriend and the kids are in Rotterdam. And it takes me time to adjust again, to be like, yeah, I'm alone again, but I'm not alone. I can call them, but everybody has their lives to do. We're working, we're doing shit, we have the kids. I'm working too, working hard as fuck. And that's also the thing, working hard as fuck now. I wouldn't be working the job I'd be doing now with the confidence I have now without these guys. And that's a real thing.
Like the biggest contribution AMENRA has brought to my life would have to be that it's like a constant factor, like to rely on. There's these people, like it's may sound cheesy, but they are family now. We've been a band for so long, and like I know of any one of those people that like tomorrow they're gonna be there, in a year they're gonna be there. Like of course something can always happen, but as long as we're alive and able, I know like what the connection we have built throughout the years will last in some way.
sometimes you have to destroy yourself to create a new self. Life is, you never are a final product of what you always are evolving. You always try to improve and become better. And yeah, that is the Church of Ra, that is AMENRA, that is the collective, that is all the people who get inspired and who come to shows. They're just, yeah, it's finding a way to be better.
We never set any goals, or we never worked toward a certain level or experience. We always addressed the situation as it came. We had dreams, you know. We never set goals. We always set the bar a little higher than we actually can handle, which makes it a very stressful way to work, very hard. Because you're never good enough, and you always try to become better. And that's something that lives in all of us. We're not the kind of persons that pat each other on the back, telling them what a good job they did here and there, but we know from each other that we all are giving it everything we have to push it as upwards as possible.
I guess every record on its own is a milestone. It's a recording of the current state of your band, I guess, or its members at least. And I think maybe that's what attracts people so heavily, because I think fans of AMENRA are really dedicated, and I think maybe the fact that we put so much of our own life experiences in there, that, I mean, we're all human, so there's bound to be some connection, you know, and I think that's what fans relate to, maybe.
Yeah, I think what is the most clear for me is you can feel like a unity in any I've seen like all that you have in a family, kind of problems, kind of solutions, kind of feelings, and but they stay together anyway. Like whatever the tensions, the violence can have, like the love anywhere, like they're always like stick together.
It's hard to describe us, AMENRA, and like, I'm not even AMENRA, but I feel like I'm AMENRA too, but it's not the same thing. But us, it's a symbiotic, normal, natural thing. I'm still going along with you guys because I feel I'm appreciated, and I appreciate it too, that all the work that I do for you. Sometimes it's a lot of work, but I like it because we have each other's backs. If it's not on tour, it's in the bar. If it's not in the bar, it's at home. If it's not at home, it's everywhere you want. If you want somebody to help you out, you can call anybody and they will be there if they can. Even if they have to pull themselves out of a fire or work or something else like that, they're there.
It got me to places where I never thought I would be. Not only like physical places, but like also creatively and all those things. Like I already said, they push me to do better, and I am doing better. Like I'm working harder, and it's also like in my daily life. It's also learned me like the lesson, like if you work hard enough, you get there, and also like physical places, like I would never have been able to see the world like I did right now if it wasn't for them. Like, and I would never have been to Russia or Las Vegas or whatever. And yeah, like you meet a lot of really nice and inspiring people along the way as well. Like all those befriended bands like Neurosis and Yop and all those guys. They're just amazing, and that's wonderful.
You can make the equation when you're 85 or something, probably. Like, oh yeah, I remember those 40 years of madness. I don't know. Like, I feel it's like there's like no moment where you say like, oh, this is like the best moment ever for this band, you know? Like, I think it really took like the tiniest steps every time, and you could feel like a kind of growth in a positive way, you know, like not. It's like a kind of like perfect curve how a band like evolves. It's kind of slow, a slow process, but in the end it just feels right.
And we don't always know what's going on in each other's personal life, but that's not necessary as well. And I still tend to find it's a pretty unique thing, because we're like 10 friends going away to play some music, to help each other out. We have like the most fun ever sometimes.
The way AMENRA functioned, it was like we did everything ourselves. We came from the same background, everybody. And then seeing them go further than where they came from. That's something that always left an impression on me, and that I try to carry out in my own projects and life, that DIY mentality, but like on a level where you don't fuck around. You know, you make sure if it has to be like you want it to be, you make sure it is like you want it to be.
The way they shape my life is not just the band. It's like, it's more than that. Like, for every issue, and this, I think this comes for everybody, every issue we have, we always have people to fall back on. For everything, like every thing you're doubting on, or like there's always somebody that can assure you like you're doing a good thing, or you're not, or stop doing that, or and it's for the smallest things and for the really big things. Like for every problem you can have, there's a solution, and it's one of those 9 people, always.
Every little thing we do sheds more light on that vision, on that long-term building of the church. So that's why we cannot claim it solely to the 5 musicians. You know, we have to claim it to everybody we ever met and everybody who we ever have a conversation with, almost. You know, because we be sure we'll take something of that with us, and it'll turn up somewhere along the way. And as long as it's truthful and it comes from the heart and it has the sheer necessity of being created, then it definitely belongs to humanity, almost. And that is kind of what we try to tell the story, that we try to tell everybody's story, and we focus on the core of living and its hardships and overcoming and finding ways to cope with everything that might not have just happened, but probably will happen in the future. You know, at one point, every person will understand what we are doing. You know, maybe not just yet, but someday you will.
Bye.
The largest contribution is that they're still around and they're still doing their own thing. They're still making music and creating art that is like a show of strength and a message of hope, and of moving forward and of always keep on improving yourself.
We look at the world in function of AMENRA. We look at other people's relationships in function of AMENRA. We look for things in everything, you know. We seek inspiration in every moment. We analyze, you know, we give it thought. We try to mold it into something useful.
Looking for that message inside yourself. I think that's a very important thing. With everything that the Church of Ra shows or exhibits, it's important to look at it, think about it, and search for answers within yourself.